mystery writers. Welcome to Write a Killer Mystery. I'm Zara Altair, and today I want to talk about the second half of the middle of your mystery novel and what to do there to keep that middle from sagging. First, I'd like to thank my patrons on Patreon for their continued support of this video series and my mystery writing. If you'd like to join us, there's a link in the description below. All right, so how do you perfect that second half of your novel, of your mystery novel? In the first half, we talked about last week, and that's where you just keep adding more and more and more and more information, data bits, suspects, clues, evidence that your detective has to plow through and determine what's important and what isn't important. And in the second half of the middle, your detective really starts sorting through everything and eliminating all of those false clues, all the things that don't work, that seemed at the time they first presented seemed like something significant, but now there's something that doesn't actually lead to discovering the victim. So what we want to do now is whittle down all that information, and at the same time we're getting the story more exciting, we're raising the stakes and building tension. So it's a little bit different than that first half of the middle where basically you're just on a discovery journey. Now things are getting tense. Now things are getting in your detective's way. And at the same time, your detective is eliminating all those things that seem maybe significant at the beginning. So let's take a look at some of the ways that you can do this. First is selectivity. Um, you want to narrow down everything, and rather than overwhelming your readers with a multiple potential culprits, you're carefully combing through all the suspects and one by one discovering the reasons that that particular suspect couldn't be the one. Couldn't be the one. And this takes, at the same time as your detective is going through all of this, you're really exposing your reader to your detective's skills, their deductive reasoning, their ability to look at things in a new light and re examine what they first perceived and look at that first impression in a new way to uncover whether a suspect is truly a suspect or to eliminate that suspect. All right. And also in this second half of the middle, you're uncovering betrayals and twists, and it you're introducing unexpected twists, so so that what seems simple and straightforward before just leads to more complications, and that people that seemed trustworthy before all of a sudden become unreliable or even antagonistic, which causes your detective more trouble. Remember, in this section of your story, you're not only narrowing things down, but at the same time, you're piling on the trouble for your detective. Um, you can even have, in this section, you can have a high stakes pursuit. Um, yeah, it may or may not be the actual villain, but you can have a thing where there's a suspect who still seems suspicious, and as your detective goes after them, they take evasive actions, and and have a pursuit. So there's more action. In this section of your story, there's more action as well as more obstacles, bigger obstacles. Um, you can add also uh, a time element where there's pressure on your detective to solve the case in a certain period of time, and that puts even more pressure on them to whittle things down and really get to the bottom of who the villain is. At the same time, you can have, um, as I was saying about reversals, you can have betrayals and new alliances. So characters shift their position in relationship to your detective, and somebody who seemed helpful at the beginning all of a sudden becomes very unhelpful. Um, and so, and also in this section, you can have a confrontation where your detective approaches the villain. They think they've narrowed it down. They approach the villain, and the villain confronts them, and the villain says, "You got it all wrong." This can be actual a physical thing. It's just going to depend on your story. But at this point in time, it's just a confrontation. The, the, your actual revelation doesn't come till that fourth act, when your detective really narrows it down and reveals the villain. But in this part of your story, this is where so many novel middle sag, is you want to keep the readers engaged and following along with your detective by raising the stakes, creating more tension, and at the same time eliminating those clues and suspects that seem so important at the beginning and now, for various reasons, are not the true path to discovering the truth. Just don't forget, a mystery novel is a puzzle that where your detective must uncover the truth. So, fewer suspects and heightened excitement are the key ingredients for that second half of the middle, and it's going to help you keep it from sagging. Um, as you eliminate the suspects and intensify the conflicts and unveil those twists and betrayals. There's just lots of complications in this section. And pour on the trouble. This is the place where you just pour on the trouble for your sleuth. You're going to create this roller coaster ride for your reader. Oh, I think he's identified. Oh no, that's not the one. You want to just keep your reader on the edge of their seat with um, your detective going down this trail of new discoveries, which are uncovering, sorting out the truths from the untruths, and getting closer and closer and closer to the villain. Um, and that's your goal, is to keep your reader engaged, and that's why all these uncoverings, these twists, and these conflicts and obstacles are keep your reader wondering what's going to happen next. How is this sleuth going to get out of this predicament? And and again, once again, your sleuth can make decisions that have consequences that lead to more trouble. So I think you're going to narrow that funnel. You're going to build that funnel down because you're heading straight toward that villain. And at the same time, you're making things more and more difficult for your sleuth. And you're going to keep your middle from sagging as you head toward that big final villain reveal. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, please get in touch. And also, I'd like to know there's a link in the description below if you're having trouble with this part and you just want to set up a little consultation hour to kind of sort things out. And that link is in the description below so you can get in touch and we can sort through where you're having trouble. This is the novel's middle, it's the main portion of your story, and at the same time, it's something that you want to stay in control of as a writer. So, first part is adding more and more information, and the second part is sorting through that information and narrowing down all the things that don't work, and at the same time, piling on more trouble and more pressure for your sleuth. Um, and if you keep those things in mind, I think you you'll save yourself from having this middle that feels episodic and can can keep your reader from being engaged in your story. Okay, I hope that helps. And then also, I wanted to once again remind you that Audible is a sponsor for Write a Killer Mystery, and there's a link in the description below for a 30-day free trial so you can listen to stories. And Audible also has all kinds of other narrative features and even like blogs that you can listen to, and so give it a try. And thank you for being here. Keep writing.